Yeah, I hope you all watched those videos. I had a good time filming them. Of course, painting in competitions and just painting out in general can be really tough without having to record your process. But I took that on as a challenge. And, I plan on doing some more of that this year because I think people really respond to it. So um, do you want me to read off some of the questions that were sent to us or?
You
So,
can run with those questions, yes, and then we'll see if there's more come into the feed.
okay, so the first question was multiple plein air sessions. Does it make a better painting? I'm not sure if either of you have done multiple sessions on paintings before, and how does it help you, or Anna?
Yes, hello everyone. Yeah, I did both. I did 2 sessions and then I did like quick ones for 1 session only. And I found 2 sessions helpful with architecture, like doing cities where, you need to build those perspective and buildings like in a proper way, and it takes longer time. So for those, I did 2 sessions. For more of like feeling, like daytime sunlight, I think it's better to do 1 session to grab that.
Cynthia, have you done much multiple sessions outside?
I guess I don't really understand the question when you say multiple sessions.
So as opposed to going out, setting up your easel, completing your plein air session and going home, you come back the next day or any other,
no, I've never done that. It's all in one time and out kind of.
Yeah, I can appreciate that too.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for the spontaneous session a la prima, where you go in there, you crank it out, and you take on the weather conditions head on,
Right.
Whatever it throws at you, if it's cold, if it's raining out, if storms come up, if it gets really windy. To me personally, plein air has a lot to do with about the experience that you get from it, right? The paintings sometimes become secondary, or just like this avenue for remembering that day, right? So when you look at all your paintings in the studio, they're like postcards for me. Like when I go on a trip, I might paint really small. I'm not going to sell these paintings. They're more valuable to me and my family. You can look at it and remember exactly what the weather was like, the people you talk to, the scenery and everything around you. So to me, the single session is very valuable. I do quite a few multi-session paintings. For one, and they're like during competitions, especially, you might get out there and scout out an area, see that, at 7 o'clock, the lighting is just right. The shadows are just, and that's what attracted you to that scene. You set up and an hour later, that lighting has changed. Maybe that's not there anymore. It might be a sunrise painting or a sunset painting, which I typically do in 1 session, but you see where I'm going, where that light changes. And you want to just go back and, put a couple hours in on one day, go back in and with fresh eyes and finish it up the next day. There are things that do get in your way, like, weather. It can come up, which kind of forces you. It might get too windy to even finish. And you decide to go back on another cloudy day or something and finish up. Another reason that I do that is your energy level and how fatigue creeps up on you painting outdoors in the weather conditions on your feet, and thinking about what you're doing all the time can be very exhausting. So if you put 3 hours into it and you find out you're just pushing paint around and having a hard time just really getting excited about it, pack it away, come back, put another hour in the next day, and you'll have a fresh perspective on what you're doing to help you, keep that energy into finishing it up.
I guess, can I just say something?
Sure.
I guess for me, you bring up some very good points. I think the next time I'm out, I'm going to try and remember to do that. For me, I find a scene that just speaks to me, and everything is just right, and if I were to go back, I just don't know the magic of that is gone. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So, but I could see your point when you lose the light. It's nice to go back again the next day, try and capture that light.
Right. You know, as opposed to bringing that back into the studio with a picture and like
Right,
Jim was
right,
just
right.
saying, lose that energy and everything else. To me, standing out there in the wild or on the streets, which can be wild sometimes too, it just has its own energy about it. And you
Correct.
want to continue to do that. So it's like a tool for you to keep that energy the same, dragging your stuff back out there, as much effort as that takes, and trying to finish that scene off. Now, Anna, I know you've done some competitions. Did you say in Russia?
Yeah, in Russia and in Italy. Yep.
So as far as your art career, why do competitions? I mean, why not just stay in your studio and you know, crank out something from the comfort of your from your chair or from your own studio?
Well, to me, it's interesting to explore new places. I love traveling and I love painting, and it's a great opportunity to visit new place, paint there, meet new people, fellow artists. It's always fun, even if, you know, I don't sell anything, you know, I don't win. It's just cool, and, you know, grow, expansion, that's what attracts me.
And Cynthia, how does going to plein air events help you, you know, with your other art, for instance? You know, does it help you to bring back that freshness back into the studio to keep from getting stale?
I think the events are so fabulous for so many different reasons. Yes, the camaraderie, getting to meet other artists, talk to them. We learn so much just from talking with other artists about their struggles and what their inspirations are. And then it organizes you. It forces me to be organized. I'm not an organized person, really. But, you know, going to an event is great because you really, really need to be organized.
And efficient.
And efficient. And efficient with the time, yes. You know, you want to get in and get out. So I paint very fast when I'm outside. And it helps me. It helps me.
You know, and especially in the competitions where they have quick paints and nocturnes, those are the ones that are going to really push you. I've been like, I was at a quick paint this last summer. It was like an hour and 15 minutes long. And I'm like, you know, and people are turning in 16 by 20s, 30 by 30s, you know, but to be able to see that and push yourself to the next time you go and do a quick paint that's 2 hours long, you're like, wow, I got all 2 hours, you know. But you're right, the camaraderie of the people, you know, a lot of the people that I've been seeing for, you know, the last 10 years, I strictly only see them at plein air events. We talk on Facebook and what have you. But to see them in person, you know, they're from different parts of the countries, and it's just like this melting pot where like-minded people can come together and enjoy their craft, you know, and share ideas and learn from each other. I think as far as doing competitions, you know, I mean, it does help to get your name out there, especially if you do win awards. You know, they'll put your name in magazines and what have you. Getting new collectors, you're moving to different areas. You know, some of these competitions pop up in really art-starved areas of the country. And especially the first few of them, collectors are very supportive of the artists that come to the area, that travel there. Maybe none of these collectors have seen artists like that or art. So, you know, it can really help you connect with new collectors, and they could, you know, purchase paintings off you at a later date. You know, not to mention like the sales and awards. Okay. If I was to rank like awards and sales, I would almost put that towards the bottom of why I do it. Now, don't get me wrong. we all need art supplies, and art supplies are expensive. So selling paintings really helps the wheels to keep going and turning it around. You know, a lot of people have multiple sources of income, but to spend the money to go to a competition for the gas, the travel, the art supplies, you know, paints, boards, all these things, the food and lodging. As a business model, I have found that it's not really a good business model. If you, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, you know, there are people that consistently win awards at every time. But if you go to an event and, you know, shell out on the cheap $400 or $500 for your lodging and what have you, and you don't sell anything and you don't win awards, it's not a good business model. So that's why I feel not to be disappointed with lack of awards or sales, but to enjoy that life experience that it brings. How do you feel about that, Anna? You were talking about that before.
Well, yes, I agree that like to me, I didn't participate in big number of competitions. Well, some were successful, and you know, whatever I earned from selling, it covered my expenses. For some, it didn't work. Yeah. However, I still value the experience I get there, and you know, I got new connections, and even, you know, if I don't sell or win over there, then people come back, reach to me with commissions. So I think it works out. Like to me, it was like balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Cynthia, how do you feel about that?
I feel this has been something that's been said a number of times today. It's about the experience, and if something sells, that's great. But I'm not going to these events with the anticipation that I'm going to win an award or sell anything. It's just the experience. For me, it's just the experience, and every experience you're learning more and more and more all the time.
Yes.
And so you just hope that next year, if you go back that past year, you've learned enough that you feel good about what you're doing. It's just about feeling good about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. And I have a small comment, like in terms of costs, like there are many ways, like you don't have to travel somewhere far away. Like you can do local, you can do Illinois, you can do Wisconsin, and it's not that costly as it seems. And also another thing which I found super helpful is like sharing it with somebody, like going with your peers, then it costs much less.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You know, as many of you know, I like to camp at my competitions, and you'll find there's a group of artists that also like to camp. So, you know, like just yesterday, someone was reaching out to me saying, hey, are you doing this competition? You know, do you want to share a campsite or whatever, you know, and you're right. But that does help with the camaraderie of it all. You know, these are people who are from different parts of the country, and you're meeting up. And then how often do you get to do that in any other, you know, activity that you're doing? You know, maybe you're playing a sport and you go to a place, but you're probably not going to room with another person like that, you know? So you get to know these people in a completely different light, sit around the campfire, share a beverage, you know, and just have great life experiences from that. So as far as, this is going to be fun, but do you remember your first competition that you did, and how do you choose a competition, you know, now, and how did you choose it before? I can tell real briefly, my first competition I did, and people prodded me into it, was probably about 10 years ago or something. It was called Edge of the Rock in Beloit, Wisconsin. And that was very convenient for me. So it was only 25 minutes north of me. So if you're going to start a competition, try to do something local. I know Errol had talked about Schaumburg, and I think there's one on the North Shore. Woodstock used to do one. Seek out these ones that are just a short travel from your house, as opposed to having to go to a completely different, you know, city or town and get lodging and have to deal with all those external distractions that's going to take you away from, enjoying your art experience. But when I did Beloit, I was looking at a lot of my friends on Facebook and I'm thinking, boy, everyone's doing like city scenes and buildings and stuff. And it's like, I don't do any of that stuff. And this was like 10 years ago. So I said, if I do this, I know Beloit has a downtown. I'm going to push myself to do a town scene. And that's when I started doing buildings and stuff. And it was the competition that helped to challenge me, but you have to start somewhere, right? Now, Anna, do you remember your first competition, and were you nervous, like being exposed like that? Because there is a sense of exposure that, standing on a corner with a bunch of other artists kind of brings.
Well, yes, definitely. So my first plein air competition was back in my art college, and it was, I would say, like more fun, because when you are in a group of peers, like you're not afraid. Here, like in Chicago, yes, I was a little bit like frightened of how people will react, and like, I didn't feel comfortable at first, but then I realized like it's almost no difference as regular plein air. So yeah, it feels pretty much the same.
Cynthia, were you nervous during your first plein air competition, or did you feel like it was just another day painting on the street or in the country?
Well, I've only, my first one was of Cedarburg about 4 years ago. And I really went for the experience of, I was just starting plein air. I just went for the experience. And I guess I didn't really realize that there was a competition, to be honest with you. I just thought you could hang up your paintings and hopefully you would sell them. So I guess for me, it's just the experience that I don't go to any of these things with any delusions or ideas that to be part of. It's just every time I go, I try to find new things to paint that challenge me. And
You ever go into a competition saying, I have a little goal, I want to work on this, I want to try a different palette, I want to, do architecture as opposed to just, landscapes or something? Do you ever challenge yourself something like that?
Well, like for right now, we're going to Cedarburg shortly, sometime soon. And I've always painted buildings when I've been at Cedarburg because it's a historic town and that's generally where everybody focuses on. But it's not my comfort zone. So I've tried it, but I'm going to try and do more landscape, natural landscapes, water, whatever. So each competition is different. And then the thing is, when you go to them, if you really want to push yourself and you really want to sell and you really want to, if you go ahead of time, go a day ahead of time and scout out the areas so that you're not wasting your time the first day there trying to find great locations. It's always worthwhile to go a day ahead of time to find something that really inspires you, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
if you can do a little scouting ahead of time, I know it's really helped me.
Right.
Be more reactive to the plein air painting as opposed to planning it out ahead of time. But still, it helps to have an idea where you're going instead of wandering around the whole county for half a day, which I have done.
Well, and the other thing is, if you look up artists in the past, so let's say you're doing a plein air event in another state, you could look up past events. They're always online, and you could look up and see what are people interested in that location. Is this something that I really desire to paint? I mean, and also if you're interested in selling, I mean, maybe there's just way too many of the historic movie theater downtown, and everybody paints it, and they've been painting it for years, and people are tired of it, I guess.
Right.
So all of those things, researching ahead of time, good locations, you know, and what you think the feel of the place is, what is going to be the most important aspect of that location.
Yeah. And when you go to a competition, how do you balance the fact that you want to paint for yourself as opposed to painting for awards or sales? Like, where do you know, there's like three things there that you're trying to do. You want to come out happy and fulfilled as an artist from doing this, but also you want to sell paintings and possibly win awards. So do you paint for judges? Do you even look at the judges? And you know, how do you think about that when you go to a competition?
Well, for me, there are two parts. Like, one is what you truly want to do and how you feel about the place, and what you want to express. And then, as you said, the second piece is if people are interested in some particular things, like landmarks of, you know, that place, for example, right? Like the most popular places. And to me, I was doing both. And usually there is like an art show after the competition, right? Where you can put all of your artwork. And if you have both, right? Like, some days you paint what your heart feels. Some days you, red umbrellas, chicken, and who have a dog. And then you kind of, you know, put your artwork in both baskets, and then some of this may sell, some of this may win something, right? So you don't focus on just one piece.
Right.
To me, I was doing several pieces.
Right.
So that was my approach.
That's a good approach. You know, and I have something on my whiteboard in my office on the back of the door, and I'm going to show this to you guys. I don't know if you can see it. Uh-oh.
There. Well,
So there we go. So I have three circles here. Okay. This is kind of relating to what we're talking about. So you have your artistic freedom, which is very important. You know, if I wasn't enjoying what I did, I wouldn't be painting, right? I'm not doing it for money. If I only wanted to make money in art, I would not be on this right now talking to you guys. I would be doing something that is trendy and selling it on Etsy right now. Okay. But you have to balance that with recognition, which also helps you sell paintings, and money, which helps the wheels go round, right? And so where you want to stay is find your sweet spot somewhere in the middle here, right? Which is the intersection. And you could look at this, you know, as opposed to your overall life, how you live life too. So try to, you know, live somewhere in there. If money is really important to you, well, then you're going to lean more towards that circle. If only art freedom is important to you, you don't care about recognition or money, obviously you're going to be leaning towards a different circle. But think about putting a little Post-it note up like that, and it helps me to stay grounded, and why I'm doing what I do, right? So I think we're running out of time, and I appreciate you guys and your input. So I guess we're going to pass the torch. And
Okay.
thanks for watching.